John Beaudin from Rock History Book. If you want to support the channel, there are links in the description of this video, and I think we're ready to go. World's most underrated guitarist turns down the Rolling Stones. Yeah, a big anniversary for him today. Neil Peart's first show with Rush. Elvis' mom dies, and we all know how close he was with his mom. The Police released their third single. In 1941, American singer-songwriter guitarist David Crosby, founding member of the Byrds and Crosby, Stills and Nash. Of all the members of the bands that he was in, I think most people are maybe a little surprised that him of all people is still around, because he enjoyed the fruits of being a rock and roll star, the when in Rome things that rock stars do. Steve Martin, 1945, he's 77 years old today. Larry Graham, 1946, bass guitar great for Sly and the Family Stone. In 1951, guitarist Bob Slim Dunlap of The Replacements is born in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's 70 years old today. Sharon Bryant, Atlantic Star, born in Westchester County, New York. A happy birthday to her. A few of the ones that we've been doing, we realized after the fact that some of the websites that were cherry picking this information from decided not to put that an artist has been dead. And sometimes if they're not in our forefront of the artists that we either talk to or report on, we've missed a few. So we're not going to do that again. We're going to try not to. You recognize that face? 1960, she's 62, same age as me. It's 1960, classical crossover soprano, Phantom of the Night, Sarah Brightman is born in England. She's, as I mentioned, 62 years old. She looks very different than she used to, but we all age and we all try to not age, if you know what I mean. 1946, American guitarist and singer Keith Howland. He was with Chicago from 1995 to 2021. He's 58 years old. And a really, according to Jeff Coffey, just the nicest guy you'll ever meet in your life. So happy birthday to him. In 1970, Keith Hoonigan, guitarist, founding member of Third Eye Blind. He was with them from 93 to 2000. He was born in Oakland, California. There is Elvis. 1958, Elvis Presley's mother, Gladys, dies at 46 years old. The funeral, Presley was so overcome by grief he couldn't even stand up, and he had to be supported. There were like 500 police in attendance to keep the crowd controlled. He was so close to his mother. In 1988, Robert Calvert, frontman for Hawkwind, dies of a heart attack at ages 43. That was in Ramsgate, England. Here we go. In 1988, bluesman Roy Buchanan dies of an apparent suicide, though a lot of his friends said it wasn't suicide, but I'll explain that in a bit, which kind of made it look like a suicide. At the age of 48 years old in Fairfax, Virginia, he was arrested for public intoxication after a domestic dispute. And there's his graveyard there. There's his grave site, rather, right there. He was found hanged from his own shirt in a jail cell on August 14th, 1988 in Fairfax County, as mentioned in the jail, according to Thompson Hartman, who was in a cell near Buchanan. The deputy sheriff opened the door early in the morning and found Buchanan with the shirt around his neck. Guitar Magazine called him the Fender Telecaster Master. And once Buchanan said, "I like to wear my guitar high." Les Paul used to do the same thing, wearing it like a bib. Isn't that interesting? Huh? He does wear it high. He got an invitation from Rolling Stone, and he turned them down. He said he was worried about, he had his own addiction problems, that if he joined the Stones, he would have the same fate as Brian Jones, who was found in a pool. And he decided not to go that direction. What a talented man. He used to try to make the guitar sound like different instruments. That was kind of a project for him to say, okay, I'm going to make my guitar sound like horns or even drums. He liked to experiment with his guitar. 1992, Tony Williams of the Platters dies of emphysema at the age of 64 in Manhattan, New York. Great singer. Love the way he sang. In 2002, Dave Williams, lead singer for the U.S. hard rock group Drowning Pool, was found dead in the band's tour bus during Ozzy Osbourne's Ozfest tour in Virginia. He was just 30 years old. In 2013, Alan, I think I'm saying this, Lanier, keyboardist, rhythm guitarist for Blue Oyster Cult, dies of complications from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, in Manhattan, New York. He was 67 years old. And in 2016, former Nine Inch Nails keyboardist James Woolley, who played with them from 91 to 94, falls from a ladder and dies from neck injuries. He was only 49 years old. Now that's a freak accident. Isn't that kooky? In 1965, Sonny and Cher, I Got You Baby, hits #1 for the first of 3 weeks. I've never liked that song. I just never liked that song. I thought it was irritating. In 1971, The Who released their fifth studio album, Who's Next, which features Won't Get Fooled Again. Arguably, to a lot of people, their best album. Oh boy, 1974, Paul Anka releases You're Having My Baby. A lot of people did not like that song. It's certified gold. I kind of liked it. I don't know. It was a little hokey, but good for the time. I don't know. No one ever really had tackled that before on that level, I think. In 1978, the Police released their third single, Can't Stand Losing You, as a follow-up single to Roxanne, reached number 2 in the UK charts. God, I love the early Police stuff. In 1993, Freddie Mercury had his first solo UK number 1 single with Living on My Own. In 1995, Battle of the Britpops, rival bands Oasis, Roll With It, and Blur, Country House, released singles on the same day. 2005, James Blunt topped both the UK and US charts with You're Beautiful. A lot of people call that one of the worst songs of all time. I didn't really mind it. 1962, unhappy with the drummer Pete Best, they fire him. Brian Epstein fires him. There's Ringo and Pete Best side by side. Of course, that's photoshopped, so that's not a real picture. In 1974, drummer Neil Peart. There's Neil, let's make him bigger, let's make him bigger. Oh, I'm so sad that we lost Neil. Not that long ago, actually. Makes his debut with Rush at a show in Pittsburgh, where they are there to support Manfred Mann and Uriah Heep. Love that man, love his drumming. Guns N' Roses kick off their first North American tour at a show in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Opening act was The Cult. 2007, Amy Winehouse enters rehab for the first time, first of many. Mayhem ensued after that. In 2012, Jay Giles, former guitarist for semi-retired Jay Giles Band, filed suit against other members who are using the name in concert. I can understand that. That happens all over the place. So many different bands that people say, well, I was involved in this for so long. I should have a right to use the name or quasi-use the name or have it on the poster, and people always fight. I mean, LRB, when you look at that, where there's no original members except one guy who sang Night Owl, but no original members, no members of the original band, the heyday of the band. So it's kind of hard when that happens. So thank you for indulging me for another day of Today in Music History. I'd like to do maybe 1 or 2 live every now and then. If I can do one live, it's kind of a cool thing. Hey, Kim Trickle, how you doing? So Kim, thanks for coming on. We don't have a lot of people on today, but thanks for indulging me. If you want to support the channel, Kim, for instance, is part of our Patreon. I'm about to put Kim as a member of a higher level. We're about to put a lot of bonus stuff in the next 2 days for people who are on the second tier of our Patreon, of stuff that will never see the light of day unless you're a Patreon member. And there's a PayPal link on there as well. But thank you so much for everyone who supports us. Kim, we love you, girl. It's John Beaudin from Rock History Book, Today in History, August 14th.